Welcome back to We Shoot Films. Today, let's talk about vintage glasses and how I use them on the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. And maybe you should too. All right, let's get to it. So, vintage glasses, love it. Once I got into buying vintage glasses, I just can't stop, and I'm gonna buy some more. I know nowadays people want that crispiest look and all of that, and that's cool, and there's a time and place for those type of lenses. I'm not talking about those type of lenses today. I'm talking about vintage lenses from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I love them. This here right here is a Mirror 1 2.8, 37 millimeter. And this bad boy is beautiful, but you know, with every vintage lens, sometimes you got problems. You gotta be careful they don't have fungus or haze. The glass in here is perfect though. So what I wanna do is send it to get rehoused and make this into a cine lens. And this is gonna be great. This has a real nice, distinct look. I like my stuff to look cinematic. I won't even buy them 4K TVs. Those true 4K TVs, yo, it look like you're looking at a soap opera. It's too clean, it's too clear, it's too perfect. It doesn't look real anymore, so I don't even buy those TVs. And I don't desire to have that look. I love that old film look. I like that. You know, it's not perfect. It's just, that's what film is. That's how we're used to seeing it, and that's what I'm used to creating. So I buy vintage lenses. I do have a few other regular pieces. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I mostly care about vintage lenses, and you can get a lot of these things for a pretty good price considering, you know, what you would have to get, you know, on the other end. It depends on your shooting style too. So this is a Mirror 1, okay? This here is the all-known Helios 44M4. It has, this is a 58 millimeter, an f2. Again, I bought this, man, great condition. And I also have the Helios 44-2. This is a 58 millimeter at f2. And I shoot once in a while with these, depending on the look. These are mostly sharp in the center. You gotta be careful because they could be a bit off and soft on the edges. Great portrait, for portrait stuff is great. And I still shoot these for movies, but I tend to not use a low f-stop. You know, I'll go like f4, f5, you know what I mean? Something like that. But again, these are the Helios. Then we have the Takumar. Love this lens. This one is a 105 2.8, and it's a great lens. With a lot of vintage lenses, you gotta be careful when shooting, you know, at a shallow depth. You really gotta make sure it's on point, because sometimes it can be soft, and it's like vintage sometimes have it's focused, but it's a soft focus. It's weird, but I love this lens still. It has a great look. Definitely a good purchase. So this is the 105 Takumar, and this is the Super Takumar 50 millimeter at 55 millimeter at 1.8. This is a nice clean look. I love this lens as well. Again, you know, with vintage lenses, you gotta be careful. There've been a few times I shot with these and they ended up soft. So you gotta make sure your monitor really is telling you the truth, and you gotta just work with them and know the ins and outs of any lens. You gotta know what you're dealing with. But this is another lens, great find. Minolta MDs, oh man, they are so clean. They're sharp. They're sharp. For what I'm doing, they're great and sharp. This is the 50 millimeter at a f2, and this is amazing. It's a great. This always is being used. All of these don't always be used. This is in every shoot. Minolta. Don't be scared of them. Don't be scared of them. And so I had to get the other Minolta. This is the 50mm, no, this is the 28mm, I keep forgetting. But this is the 28mm at 2.8. Again, clean, crisp, but still got that look to it. Again, I use this all the time. You know, I want to give me a wider Minolta. The wider you go, the more expensive they are. But it's worth it. I'm telling you, you get a good pair, it's worth it. You know what I mean? And so I have a Minolta here. This one, I don't use it much, even though I should. This is a 200mm at a f4. You know what I mean? It's a great lens as well. If you're trying to, you know, get stuff from far away and not be in their face. Minolta, again. Now, the only other lenses that I use that are not vintage is the 12mm Rokinon, which I've talked about it before, which is on my actual camera, so I can't show it to you, but it's a great, that's what I do for my wide and establishing shots. I use my 12mm Rokinon. It's a great lens for the price. And I have a Rokinon 85mm 1.5, T1.5. This is again a great lens, but I just prefer the vintage, but I have it just in case I need it. So I do have it just in case I need it. But even this one, and this is supposed to be a, you know, a recent lens, you know, whatever. And you have to be careful because at 1.5, this lens is very soft. You know, your focus could be real weird at 1.5. So to me, this lens thrives at like a 4 and up. You can do 2.8 too, but at a 4 and up, it's at its best for the 85mm. You know what I mean? And I also have a Micro Four Thirds Panasonic 25mm. This one, and this goes down to a, what does it go down to? A 1.7. And this is small lens. Small lens, it's a Micro Four Thirds lens. But for the price and for the quality this thing gives you, it's an amazing lens. For 25mm, it's crisp, it's clean, 1.7 again, and the price is not that bad at all. I think it's under $300. So those three would be the 12mm, the 85, and this 25, my only modern lenses that I own at the moment. That's all I own, okay? Now, and this one happens if you just happen to, this one's adapted. This is an EF adapted to a Micro Four Thirds. This is the almighty Viltrox speed booster that a lot of people have problems with. I don't have a problem with it, but this is the adapter. I like it. Anyway, my MDs. You know, this is an MD mount. Obviously, I have a Micro Four Thirds camera. So this is MD to Micro Four Thirds. It's the adapter right here. I'll try to leave, you know, in the description where you can find it. And it's so easy, you know, you buy this, man, and you good, you know? The same thing, you know, with these. And the Takumar, there's our M42 mount, so you need the mount for that. And this is, again, this is the M42 adapter to Micro Four Thirds. It's nothing. You buy it, it's cheap, and you good. You put it on. It's no problem. You know what I mean? If you got a Canon, you get an M42 to EOS or to whatever you got. The Helios is an M42 as well. You know, step rings are very important. I just wanted to bring them up since I'm talking about lenses. You gotta get your step ring up, okay? So like, let's say the Panasonic. This ring here, this thread in here is a 46mm. If you're gonna get step-up rings, okay, get a step-up ring to your biggest lens you have. Mine is a 72mm on the outside, the biggest thread, not exactly the lens, because that's a 200mm lens, but the thread to your lens. My biggest thread I have is a 72. So all my step rings are 72. So if I need to adapt this, I just put it to 46 and it jumps up to a 72. So now I could just use one ND filter or one Pro Mist or one whatever filter I want for all of my lenses. All right, you just adapt it. Step rings are part of having lenses. Keep them step rings. All right, so don't be scared of vintage lenses. Yes, they're manual, they don't autofocus, they're not perfect, but that's what makes them so great. You know, just go and make sure before you buy them, you try to get as much information, try to make sure you get ones that don't have fungus or haze. Ask questions if you have to, but they're great. You can get a good assortment for half the price. You know, one lens might cost you, like the 18 to 35 Sigma is a great lens. It's about $700 to $800. You can get this. You can get yourself a whole assortment of prime vintage lenses for way less. You know, and so if you do it right. So that's all. Hope this helps you in any way. If you have any questions about these lenses or anything like that, make sure to leave a comment below. And, you know, till next time, please, you know, like, subscribe, and hit that bell on the side so you get notified on time, all right? This is We Shoot Films, and like I always say, it is what it is. I'm out.